Hello, my name is Taylor Flipsy, and this is my classroom management review presentation. My original view of classroom management was just the way the classroom is run. This includes everything from daily routines, handling student behavior, to making lesson plans and teaching. My view of classroom management has shifted so much over the course of this class. I have learned that there's so much more to classroom management than just the way the classroom is run. It is literally everything pertaining to students, classroom, just everything. Classroom management does involve those things I had originally thought of. Running the classroom, creating lesson plans, encouraging active learning, as well as teaching, but it also includes building a positive classroom culture, building relationships with students and parents, student engagement and participation, being consistent and having clear expectations, classroom setup, and this is things like your desk shape and where students are around the room, restorative justice practices, and creating a safe and welcoming place for students. All of these things are going to lead to better learning, better engagement and participation, and just better behavior and a good all around experience for your students as well as yourself for a teacher. Sometimes being a teacher is hard, and these things help make it just a little bit easier for yourself as well as the students, and it just makes everybody feel safe and happy to be there. And there is nothing better than a classroom where students are excited to be there, excited to learn, and just happy and safe. Classroom culture. Classroom culture is extremely important because it shapes the overall learning environment, directly impacts student behavior, engagement, and academic success. If you have a negative or toxic classroom culture, people are not going to do well. Your students are not going to succeed. They are not going to try a lot of the time. There's going to be behavioral problems and people clashing and just a complete lack of respect. You need a positive classroom culture to build a sense of belonging, mutual respect, and student and teacher safety. Without the positive classroom culture, nothing is going to work. It's just going to be a failure for yourself as a teacher and a failure for the students. Key reasons why classroom culture is important. Positive culture increases student engagement and participation. This is if people feel like they can participate and they won't be treated like they're stupid or their answers are wrong or it's just a waste of everyone's time to listen to them talk, they are going to participate because there are people that are afraid to say something because they're worried about being wrong and they're worried about how that's going to look if they're wrong, and they don't want to be treated badly because their answer was something off the wall. It improves student behavior. If there is mutual respect, students are going to behave better and treat each other better. And this goes with improving student teacher relationships as well as equality and inclusion. If there's mutual respect, everybody's just going to get along better and there will be improved communication. 5 strategies for a positive classroom culture. Establish clear expectations. Begin the year with clear rules and expectations for both yourself and the students, and remain consistent with these expectations. I hate to mess up, especially in front of students, but if you cannot admit you messed up or were wrong and hold yourself accountable, you cannot expect your students to do so either. You have to be a model behavior with holding yourself accountable if you expect students to be able to hold themselves accountable as well. Build relationships. You need to make students feel like they're not just another person in a desk for the year, that they're not a number to you or a name on a page. You need to make them feel like they are important to you, because I care about every single kid that I have ever had in a classroom. I know their names. Sometimes their names evade me because there's a lot of them to remember as a sub. But I know their names. I know the things they're interested in. You just got to show genuine interest in their lives. Encourage student voice. Allow students to express their opinions. Even if their opinions are different than yours, that is a great learning experience for everybody to see multiple opinions on the same thing. Because opinions, they're not wrong. Everybody has a different opinion, and that's everybody's opinion. That is perfectly valid, and having difference of opinions is such a great learning experience. You can let them make choices and take leadership roles. You can't put them completely in charge of their learning experience, but if there's a day you're reviewing and it's, oh, well, we could do a Kahoot game, or we could watch a review video, or do a crossword, or a word search, or a group activity, give them a little input and let them decide on what would be best for them. You need to create a safe and welcoming environment. When people feel comfortable, they are going to learn better. When they feel safe and involved and part of everything, they are going to act better, learn better, participate more. You can start and end each day or week with morning meetings, afternoon meetings, public shout outs, just letting people know that they did good and they should be proud of themselves and their fellow students. The last strategy for positive classroom culture is fostering collaboration. Use group projects, peer review, team building exercises to help teach and model effective communication, conflict resolution, and just give these students the opportunity to work with each other and figure things out for themselves just a little bit. Engagement in the classroom. Classroom engagement is also super important. When students are actively involved in learning, they are far less likely to become distractive or disruptive. High levels of engagement help maintain focus, reduce behavioral issues, and create a more positive and respectful learning environment. Increased student engagement prevents disruptions, disruptive behaviors, and it encourages a positive learning environment, builds student and teacher relationships, as well as student and student relationships, and encourages responsibility and accountability for behaviors. When there is mutual respect throughout the whole classroom, students are going to engage and they're going to work together and they're going to work with you, and things are just going to flow. There's not going to be that kink in the chain that just holds up everything, and nobody should feel like they're walking on eggshells when they are trying to engage in the activity and learn. Kids have a one-track mind. If they're focused on their assignment or their activity, they're engaged with it, that's what they're going to be doing. If it doesn't hold their focus and they're not engaged, they are going to be distracted. They are going to be crazy off doing something, disrupting everybody. What are 3 strategies that I might use to increase student engagement? Connect the lessons to real life. When students see how learning applies to their lives, they find it more meaningful and engaging. For example, you could incorporate current events, news, or if they're older kids, something politics. Just that gets to be a touchy subject though. Pop culture references, TV shows, movies, song lyrics. There's just a lot you can relate back to help them learn things. As aren't specifically in a textbook, so they're not boring, as these kids would say. You can use active learning. Active participation deepens understanding. If they are doing think, pair, share discussions, hands-on experiments, simulations, role-playing, or even debates of different opinions and exit tickets, they are actively engaging with the content and they are going to understand it, remember it, do better. You can offer student choices. Giving students some control over their assignments and work increases motivation and engagement. Like letting the students choose topics for projects, presentations, or providing options for how they demonstrate their learning. Insights on communications. I have been on both sides of communications with teachers, being the teacher myself and being the upset parent. A lot of things can be resolved very quickly if people just are listened to and they feel heard and validated. They just want their voices to matter. There are several insights for communication with parents. Build positive relationships early. Start the year with a welcome message. Introduce yourself. Establish that form of communication so it's there if there's a problem. Communicate regularly. Give shout outs for good behavior, accomplishments, because I've been there when your kid is just all you hear is negative, 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 negative. But when all they're looking for is the negatives, that's all you're going to see. Those positive messages are just awesome sometimes. Be consistent and transparent. Communicate expectations, grading policies, and important dates. And you can use various tools or platforms like newsletters, emails, digital apps to keep parents informed about those things happening in class. And focus on partnership. Invite parents to give their input, be those active listeners to them, and show that you value their perspective. And then there's a communication with administration. You need to be proactive and professional. You need to keep the administration informed about issues or situations and always document communications about problems with students or parents or any type of contact you've had to share with the admins if the need arises. You should align with the school goals, participate in meetings with the administration or committees to be part of the decision making process for how school's going to go and things like that. And always seek support. Ask for feedback on teaching and management strategies to just help you grow as a teacher. How will my learning from this course impact my classroom in the fall? I will have enhanced teaching practices. I will be able to implement new strategies for engagement, positive culture, and classroom management, which will make my teaching more effective and student centered. There'll be a stronger classroom culture and increased reflection and growth mindset. There will be so much more with positive, inclusive, and respectful environments and make everything good for students and myself.